Space is something I've been a huge fan of my entire life, and today I will briefly share with you a mission in the space industry. It's one that inspires me and one that I followed on that day and continue to look back on in admiration. Five, four, three, two, 1, 0, and we have liftoff from Falcon 9, as said on May 22nd, 2012 from Mission Control. SpaceX is a privately owned company which launched their spaceship Falcon 9 and Dragon capsule into orbit around Earth from the Cape Canaveral Air Force Base on a mission to the International Space Station as the first privately owned company to do so, which also followed and reported on by media from around the world. After liftoff that day, upon soaring up into the atmosphere, Falcon 9 blasted into the history books. It trailed a fiery like dragon's tail behind it as it left its mark across the sky as it headed into outer space. On May 23rd, Dragon orbited Earth gracefully over 17,000 miles per hour as it traveled to the International Space Station. Ground control waited anxiously as it approached its next step in the mission. May 24th, Dragon's sensors and flight systems were checked and were subjected to a series of tests to determine if the capsule was ready to attach to the space station. And then on May 25th, NASA gave the go to attempt berthing with the space station, arguably the most dangerous part of the mission. Inching closer and closer to the ISS like a lioness stalking her prey, the capsule was successfully captured by the space station's robotic arm in an eruption of applause from the astronauts aboard the ISS and Mission Control. Up until then, only four governments had achieved this feat: the US, Japan, Russia, and the EU Space Agency. A day later, on May 26th, was when astronaut Dan Petit opened Dragon's hatch and his fellow astronauts entered the capsule, taking notice to the engineering and the layout, and was, quote, very pleased with it. Finally, on May 31st, after 6 days at the International Space Station, Dragon departed and returned to Earth, saying goodbye to the emptiness of space, carrying a load of cargo for NASA. Dragon now plummeting towards Earth, slicing through the resistance of our atmosphere with the force of 4Gs pushing against it, creating orange glows of plasma that engulf it like a meteor streaking across the sky. The capsule then deployed a parachute and finally splashed down in the Pacific Ocean. It was then at that moment that SpaceX had completed its historic mission. Dreaming big and having inspiration from NASA as kids is one reason how this company strived to get to the launch pad that fateful day. 1 year prior, NASA had retired its shuttle program, with Space Shuttle Atlantis completing its final mission and landing on July 21st, 2011. And it was at that time someone had to hold the torch and take over. As of today, SpaceX has flown over 400 mission successes and has a 90% market share of all satellite mass-to-orbit missions on Earth. As a kid, and even still today as an adult, I pray for the day we go back to the moon, watch a liftoff in person, or see a human finally step on another planet. Search for and find microbial life on other planets and moons that can tell us about the past of our solar system, even give insight on the life of our own planet. Explore unexplained phenomena on the surface of Mars and create a livable habitat for humans to become a multiplanetary species. Maybe reduce the chance of going extinct by means of a mass extinction event like one that took out the dinosaurs. SpaceX wants to give that to us. They are trying hard every day by employing hundreds of enthusiastic employees of all ages. Seeing their success firsthand inspires many, along with myself, to get involved in the space program with the creation of engineers, pilots, even lawyers. I understand some folks may not be impressed by that or question why spend the money on going to space, maybe thinking that money can be better spent here on Earth. I would just point out the words of famous astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson: many inventions that directly benefit us and created new industry came from the engineers, scientists, and military with interest in national security that worked on the space program. These inventions include cordless, high-tech power tools. They were invented to serve as satellites in orbit by NASA. Grooved pavement, which kept the space shuttle from sliding side to side when landing because of lack of engines on the shuttle. This was adapted into some roads and off-ramps for better controllability. The Hubble telescope, where previously there had been models launched into orbit to look down at Earth, and then scientists said, hey, we want one to look up into outer space. So one was created. And behold, the Hubble Space Telescope, which has peered into the deep reaches of outer space, shedding light onto the creation of the universe. In conclusion, I believe SpaceX, along with NASA and the entire space industry, are worthy of our praise. The SpaceX mission was a significant event because it was good practice that led up to sending astronauts into outer space and, more importantly, bringing them home. From inspiring multiple generations of kids and adults, paving the path towards new innovations in industry, and towards a long and prosperous future for humanity, the price, I believe, has been worth it. Who knows when inventions and discoveries will come out of this generation of scientists and engineers that will inspire future generations to come. Thank you.